Got a little bit of news here. We finally have what appears to be coming to E3 is Hyperkin. They have an N64 clone that they've apparently been working on, and it's going to be at E3. We have this guy here, Andrew Steele. He's pretty much tweeted this on, and this looks like a really interesting clone console. Up until this point, we really haven't had anything to play N64 on. Like I said, it's made by Hyperkin. They make, things like the Retron 5, Retron 3, Retron 6, Retron 7, but we have here this awesome looking clone console, and from the looks of it, it's pretty much got everything the classic N64 would have. It's bigger than like a PlayStation Mini or a Super Nintendo Mini. It's got a cool video here, which by the looks of his hands, it actually looks like about the size of like a Dreamcast, which was always kind of a smaller console, but one that could fit like right here, double palmed, and it seems like a pretty good start here. It's got, cartridge slot, power button, reset. You got all the classic cartridges here, and it does have the 4 controller ports. So that's cool. It looks like it's got this little light here on the side, and I'm not sure if that'll be on when it turns on. So like I said, we got this video here, and this is appearing at E3, and it's kind of strange here that he's using one hand. I don't know, the wires are there. It kind of looks like it's hooked up. It's probably off-screen footage of someone else playing the Nintendo 64, but I don't know why they didn't go ahead and use like an actual tripod instead of him trying to one-hand it here. Although here seems like it's maybe a little bit questionable. You can't really see the controller in his hand. But what's interesting about this is that it's going to be shown at E3, so hopefully in the next couple days coming up, we're going to start seeing some videos on it, some opinion pieces on it. I'm wondering if anybody else has gotten their hand on it beforehand and how it actually plays. This thing, it looks like it's got plenty of promise, the next big thing here. And this is great because up until this point, N64 is one of the more obscure consoles, and really it's taken the longest amount of time to come up to standard day and have some kind of, secondary system or, something like that where it'll actually play in HDMI. Because up until this point, you have just straight up emulation, or, you have things like the Raspberry Pi, but we don't really have, a classic system or any sort of N64 clone console. So I'm wondering what the actual hardware will be like, how well it's going to emulate, how well it's actually going to work. The only thing that I was thinking about when I first saw this, like just about an hour ago, I was looking through, and one of the things that I don't see on it is the expansion port. So I'm wondering if that's going to be something that's, sort of just baked into the hardware, if it's sort of in there under the hood somewhere. But I'm very interested, so we're going to be seeing more of this at E3. And just a quick video. The only other concern that I would have is the price on this. If they can put this out at maybe $90, something right under 100, maybe 60, 70 bucks would be probably the sweet spot. I think if it's along the lines of maybe 150, that might be going too much, and it might end up costing that. I mean, even these days you can still get a pretty decent shape, even just like the gray, classic N64, or even one of the colored see-through variants. You can get one of those for somewhere between 80 bucks, maybe 100 bucks, maybe 120. It depends the shape and all that stuff. But if they can get this between maybe $80 and $120, I think they'll have a hit on their hand. I think that's one of the problems with doing a good old school console, but modernizing it and not having it be a classic, but having it be a modern piece of tech that plays the old cartridges. Because, we've just had things like the Super NT, the analog Super SG, and those things are great. They're definitely great pieces of hardware from what I've seen. They're sturdy, they emulate well, they play well, but it seems to be the price is kind of what holds it back a little bit, going up to, 180, 170 bucks, somewhere around there. Seems to be like the point where people kind of, they see that it's cool, but they're kind of just turned off by it. So I think if this thing could be right around $100, I think that would be a great deal, and I think a lot of people would buy it. But of course, we'll be seeing more coming from it. It's going to be at E3, so I'm hoping to see some videos of the thing actually running, and curious to see how far along this project is and how far out it is, because it could be another year before we actually see anything from this. This probably isn't going to be the final look of it. It seems like it could use some tweaking, like the power and the reset, those have the font on it that's on the actual N64, so that comes close, but the buttons, of course, don't come close at all. This thing kind of looks to me like a Jetsons car, or like a car bed for some reason. Like, you kind of looks like a convertible car bed. And then the only other thing is, it's got these cool little feet bumpers here, but then on this side it just has this flat, this flat side with this I don't know if that's a button or a light sticking out. I didn't really see the buttons sticking out in the video. So regardless, this thing looks like it's going to be pretty cool. I'm super excited. It's going to be HDMI, and same as the NES Classic, Super Nintendo Classic. It's going to run off the micro USB and HDMI straight to your TV. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments. We'll be seeing more about it coming in the future. And subscribe if you're new to the channel. Like the video. It always helps out. See you guys in the next one.